Okay, bear with me here because it's going to make a lot of sense as to leakers and maybe some of Pete Hegseth's obnoxious screaming at people type thing. So, my ex husband is a Green Beret, and we lived overseas um, for part of his time when he was there for quite a few years. And during this time, they were all called over, like just right away, and we all knew that this was a possibility, so it was no big deal. At least for me, it was no big deal. I was like, this is his job. He signed up for it. Well, then, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours later, I get a call, and he's like, well, we're in the Canary Islands. Well, right away, I knew they were going to Africa because that's where you refuel if you're going to Africa, is the Canary Islands. So I was like, I had known what was going on with the news and things like that. So I was like, well, I wonder if it has anything to do with the French missionaries, because the French had gone in to try and pull out their missionaries because the country had imploded on itself and the missionaries needed to be rescued, and we had the capabilities to back up the French military at that time. And that all goes into kind of a NATO dumping bag, so we all help each other. So anyways, I didn't think anything of it. I knew they were going to be fine, and I went back to doing whatever I had to do with 4 kids and running everything else. And he comes home, and then he tells me this funny story that I hadn't heard about, but apparently it was going around. Apparently a wife called, they always have somebody at CQ, which is basically command headquarters, answering the phones. And this wife had called and said, "Where's my husband?" And he's like, "I can't tell you that. I don't know." And she goes, "Where is my husband?" He goes, "I can't tell you that." And she goes, "I just saw him on CNN. I know he's in Africa." I can't even remember the country at this time, but it was so funny. "I know he's in Africa because he's on CNN. I just saw him. Tell me where he's at." So, well, they have Signal Gate, okay? That's clearly on them. This leaker that they're looking for in the Pentagon isn't necessarily at the Pentagon. Think about it. Iran and Israel are bombing back and forth, right? And you can get satellite footage that's not necessarily from the Pentagon, right? And you've got people that are going in there looking for this satellite footage after this bombing to find out, well, what did they actually hit? I want to know what they actually hit. I'm there. I'm in Israel, or I'm in Iran, or I'm in Saudi Arabia, or I'm in Iraq. I'm a reporter. I'm going to look into this. And they find out, but they're not going to disclose themselves. I mean, look at what they're doing. They'll probably get drug into Gitmo and have the key thrown away, because Pete Hegseth is always looking like somebody who hasn't had a drink, and he's yelling and screaming at people. And I know, because my father was an alcoholic. Until he had his drink, he was the meanest person on the face of the earth. Once he had his drink, calm, settled, joking, funny, hilarious. Pete always looks like he hasn't had his drink. So think about this. It could be CNN that got those pictures. It could be an independent photographer. I do that a lot. It could be somebody sitting on their computer in their basement. Trump, because they don't have any life. Trump. And maybe they came up with it. Trump. But no, you go and purge the Pentagon because you guys are doing such a good job 5 months in. You had a lie and it didn't work because some industrious photographer or News Corps found these things. And you think, yeah, maybe it's Elon. Who knows? But stop ranting and raving at the friggin' I'm gonna go with CNN. It's probably the wife who found out her husband was on CNN. She's probably made a career of it. And she made you all look like idiots.